Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my Friday show. I'm going to see, I don't think that we have Pepper today, so I'm going to message him real quick. I think he was saying last week that he would not be available this week, so we have a normal show today. But I want to double check with him to make absolutely sure. We'll search for Pepper. Double check. You can't make the show today. Correct? Question mark? There we go. Always something on this show, huh? All right. So, we're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to do warm-ups, obviously, because we should always warm up. I'll grab myself a piece of paper here. And I'm going to put that right here. Next week, we're going to start doing some watercolor warm-ups, too, because I know that these warm-ups are not exciting. But, of course, that's kind of the point. It's kind of what I'm trying to illustrate here. Enjoy. So he is in fact in a class, so I've told him to have fun. May the force be with you. So we're also going to work over here today on a couple of things. Got an interesting Miku pose that I'm curious about giving some work into. So we're going to try that a little bit today. So that's a thing. But first, let's go to the table. Time to go to the May line. Alright, time to do the warm-ups. Always time for warm-ups. Alright. Okay. So we all recall how to do our warm-ups. We do shorts, longs, and circles. Next week we will be evolving into boxes. I know. You've got to contain yourself, guys. We'll do a couple of short lines here. And then we'll do a couple of long ones. And one could argue that this is probably super, super boring. And it is. It is. But art can't always be, like super awesome. Can't be spectacular every time. Man. Having no handles on these is rough. Oh, right. I mean, in order to do good art, we all have to practice all of the different skill sets. So again, just like usual, taking an 04 fine liner, that's this guy right here, and it's just a normal fine line pen. It's a felt tip pen. You can see that the tip is sort of felty and tippy and stiff. We're just going to go through the line work here. Right? Again, keep the elbow off the table so we don't want anything touching the table. You can use your pinky to stabilize, but then once it's on there, you want to use just your arm. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're pulling from your shoulder. 7, and 8. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For those of you at home, going ahead and follow with me on these exercises. This is good for you. It's good for you. Good morning, whomever you are, because I think that's Donald, but I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Same thing down here. 1, last long line. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There we go. Now the half circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You may have noticed that I'm actually getting a lot better with this quadrant over here, where I was usually kind of cutting across like this. I cut across a couple of times here, but by the time I got over here, I was doing pretty good. So I'm, improving with each pass, right? And that's what we're looking for, is improvement with each pass. So, okay, cool. Double cool. It's Brent. Hello, Brent. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read from over there. I can't read the monitor up here to tell what it says, so I kind of have to guess. I squint, and every time I squint, it just doesn't work. So I should wear my glasses, but I don't usually use my glasses for close work because I'm really nearsighted and not farsighted. So there's that. Okay. So I like this pose. This is an interesting pose. So we're going to work on this today as a good warm-up, and see if we can't just pull off that pose here. So it's been a few days for my dear beloved monitor, so let's go ahead and get the dust off of it. I swear this monitor gathers dust like there's no tomorrow. So when I dust my monitor, I always go from back and forth in sort of it is Brastophonic, but the pattern that I use is like this, so that each swipe kind of has an arc in the middle of my monitor, so that I'm pulling back every time I'm coming back on this, the back stroke here, if you will. I'm grabbing all of the dust that went this way, so that in the end, all you've got is you've gotten all the way down to the bottom, in this bottom left-hand corner, you've got all the dust, and then you just shake it off over here. I'm sure. Yes, it is, Michael. Hello. And yes, that was my main line over there. You can see the main line behind. Here, let me turn on my main camera. You can see the main line right back here, right? And so now I have my main line, and I have a second camera mounted. It's hard to see. Got a second camera mounted right up here on the lamp. And so that one allows me to show you what's going on the main line itself. And I have been doing warm-ups every morning now, trying to kind of get into the flow of warming up for the show. Right. Hello? Are you there? So these are warm-ups that I've been doing, Michael. So I feel like we didn't get like Basics 101 in a couple of classes that we really should have gotten. And I'm not wanting to knock my beloved teachers, and I had some beloved teachers at our college, but oh, there are no subtitles today? Boo. But talking to Michael here, feel like we missed some of our basics. One of them is drawing from the shoulder. You know, instead of laying your elbow down and drawing from the elbow, or even worse, laying your wrist down and drawing from the wrist. We never learned to draw from our shoulder. And so what I'm doing over here is I'm doing some warm-up exercises with drawing from the shoulder, which I think is great for us. You know, it's really good for an artist. So I'm hoping that when people join me on the show, they'll also sit over there and do warm-ups with me before they start something. So that's kind of a thing of where we're going here. Do the monitor over here. So now we're back, of course, to working on good old Clip Studio Paint. And I'm going ahead and start a new document. I always love 11 by 17. It's my normal size, right? I'm familiar with it. So we're going to take our blue. Some blue here. We're going to go to a pencil, and the drawing that we're going off of is this guy here. It's a Miku, but I want to kind of get the feel of this pose. So we've got. I'm actually going to tilt the pose a little bit too. So we've got like her back is here. The key thing about this is her back is straight, right? But her hips are forward. So we're going to roll her hips forward like this, right? I'm going to bring her chest in like this. I was noticed, I saw something on Instagram a couple of days ago about women's bodies versus men's bodies. It was an interesting thing I hadn't thought of before. But women's bodies are generally pretty square at the top with hips that come out like this, where men's bodies are very like that, right? And the difference here being that women have their arms coming off like this, whereas men already have their arms coming off like that. Which I feel like that's an interesting analysis. I hadn't actually really thought of that, of course, naturally. But it is an interesting thing, and I hadn't actually considered. So, there's that. So bringing that into bear here, we're going to make this a relatively square box. Right? We're going to bring this around, and we're going to bring her hips out like this. So the box comes through on the back and goes across like that. And that's pretty much where we want to be on this one. There's her stomach, right? We're going to bring this box. The only reason this box is larger is because it's closer to the camera. Right? Okay. Then we're going to put in just the hips here on this one. And we're going to look at the legs. Right? There's one, and then I'm actually going to put the other one like this, going off to the side. And she's sitting on some kind of planet, is really what it kind of looks like. She's sitting on a planet here. I don't know. I'm just working with the. I got nothing. But put her head here with her neck going like this. And now I kind of see that what I really want is I want this square to go like this. I can feel like it's not going the right direction now. And especially since her shoulder is forward, and she's put her arm back like this to hold on to whatever it is she's sitting on. So the weight is here. And then this arm is going forward like this. Right? And that's where this hand is actually going to end up right here. Now way out there, I don't know how I think. Maybe I think her arm is really long. Who knows? Anything could happen. So, go back to pencil. And actually, she might have this leg back further. Right? And this leg, actually, I think is forward. Like that. I'm just looking at the source and trying to duplicate the pose. I'm going to use this for something completely different, but I'm kind of trying to duplicate the pose. Here's the thing I am noticing though. Looking at this picture, I'm noticing that her body is pretty rigid, at least the top part is, and the bend is very much in the lower lumbar of her back, right through here. Right, we have very much, this is the bend right there. Right? Right, Michael? That is totally what I was thinking too. I'm like, oh, no, that makes a lot of sense now. Unimpressed. So, it's not that I blame the teachers. Our school was really fast at trying to teach us all kinds of things. And the truth is, the amount of things that they had to teach us, the time that they had to teach us, really wasn't conducive to learning a lot of things. So, and I get that, and I don't fault them. I really don't. I mean, I wish that we'd started with a lot more strategy there, but you know, it's okay. It's okay. We got there ultimately, right? Okay, so I've already put in one leg, and I can see now that it's looking pretty solid. I'm okay with it where it is. So I'm gonna bring in the structure under here. This would be the calf, obviously, the calf muscle. The ball of the foot, and since she's actually like tilting her foot backwards like this, I'm going to roll this over. There's a pad there for the foot, and then the arch, right? There we go. There. Let's give her some more butt, because that really would suck to not have any butt. Alright. And now we're just bringing in across the hips here. The hip bones cross across the belly like this, and they're up here, right? There we go. I had an idea for a government system process. I'm going to add to my comic. I think it's kind of an interesting idea. So I'm going to have to think about remembering to write that down before I forget it. Okay, so structuring in the anatomy here. Putting in the ball of the foot, and then the rest of her foot's going the other direction. So it's going out that way. We may have to move this picture over so that we can actually continue the foot. But if I put her foot here, it's going to indicate that it's crossed, like she's got her legs crossed, and I don't know if I really want to do that just yet. So I'm going to pull her foot to the other side and pull it back here. And if you were to look at it, it comes through like this, right? And here's the end of that leg there, and it's going to come through, and then we're going to have it just going the other direction. It's going out like this, right? Here's the heel, here's the actual foot itself, and there's the arch, right, which puts her big toe like there. And that's where that really is. And it's headed the other direction. It's going off to the distance, so we'll have to work on that one. Because even though I think I did this somewhat right, I feel like that anatomy isn't going right. That's right, we'll get back to it. So let's talk a little bit more about her shoulder, which will be here. Right? Coming down like this. And then we'll box in her hand. And here's the heel of her hand. Your thumb goes up. Excuse me. Right? So, George has recently started sneezing every morning, I've noticed. So I'm thinking, he's definitely my cat in some degree. He fits in very well here. Because he and I sneeze every morning. We start every morning off by sneezing. This is like our thing now. So, of course, as a kitten, his whole sneezing thing. Ironically, I'm finding the old box here to be a very good forward part of her chest there, to make the breast work very well. So that's kind of cool. I didn't mean that. r/serendipity. So, okay, crossing across the trapezes up here on the upper part of the shoulder and the neckline, you really want to kind of make sure that they indicate that they're going into the neck, because the back part of her neck is going to be here. She's going to actually have her face turned towards us like this, so a lot of this structure isn't going to be seen. You got to be kind of careful here. But you want to make sure, and it's part of what we call the underdrawing, you want to make sure that all of that structure is visible to some degree, or at least the lines go the right direction, because one line can make all the difference. I'm going to do this with her. She's turned to look back at us. That's going to put stress on the mastoid, which is this part right here, and that's going to bring that up and across the part of the structure of the neck. Now, looking at the way that the body is here, I'm looking at my shoulders, which do this, and I'm looking at the hips, which are doing that. I don't feel like that's very 3D. So this is the problem right here. I'm going to put the knee here and run it back like that. That's our issue, right? So we're going to correct it through here, like that. Just like that. Now the same thing goes up here, right? Where on this side, we're going down into the pubic bone and into that area that's right through that that spot, and it's going to go straight down into that. But on either side, we've got the hip bones, which come out right here, and they're going to come out of the other side as well. Her knee's probably just a little too big there. Right, so we're going to come across here and go like this, and then up and across, up to that knee bone there, or up to that hip bone. I'm thinking knees because I'm drawing knees, so there we go. And that's much clearer. Now it looks like her hips sit in a square like this, right? So we're just gonna trim this back a little and across. Right? And we're gonna come up here on the hip. The hip is like a butterfly, so it's going to shape like this. So from this angle that we're looking at, we're kind of looking at it like this. So we need to think about how that hip bone sits in here, right? It sits just like this. And since it's like a butterfly, we have it here. Well, let's darken that so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. We got the hip bone coming through like this, and then up on the other side like that, right? And then it's going to come down, and then she's going to have what would have been our human tail through there, but it's not there anymore, right? And then we'll look at where her spine is going, down and up like this, right? This is how we can check to make sure our anatomy is correct, right? So now the leg should come up and give a little bit of a bump for the hip bone right there, right? And then through down to the pubic bone, and then right through there. Same thing. It's going to have to come up for the hip bone, right? And that's where all these muscle groups tie together, is on our hips. Right? So we'll go like this, and like this, and we're just going to complete some of these lines. And this works. We're getting most of the structure together here. And now we'll look at the rib cage, right? And the rib cage is going to come off of this bone set like this, and it's going to come down like this. And this defines a lot of this structure right up here. Right? This is going to define where the stomach folds, because it's going to fold at the bottom of the rib cage. It's going to still have, you still have all of the internal organs in here, which are going to be nicely rolled together. It's kind of gross that we're talking so much about the internal anatomy, but that's what defines a human being. And then we're going to have, the thing is that she's got the shoulder blade is rolled forward on her here. So we're going to have the shoulder blade up and over like that. Right? We're going to have her shoulder right here. And that's going to delineate this structure through here. You see, like that, just like that. And what we're doing is just putting in this structure. She's leaning her weight on it. So we want to make sure that there's a line going straight down like this. In fact, I'm almost tempted to drop this shoulder to like right here, right? Because that looks even better. And that gives us more structure here. Then we're going to have to put her elbow there, and her hand go right here. Right? Much more dynamic, a stronger presentation. Right? So doing that has helped us a lot on the structure. There, comes down there. It folds over her skeleton a little bit more, but not that bad. Right? We're going to then come along here and have her hand like this. Right? see the form is coming in. Right? We're kind of seeing where this form and structure is coming in. We've got form and structure forming in like that. It's all coming together. Let's get rid of some of this extra line work down here, because otherwise I will be completely confused as to what I'm doing. And likely will ink the wrong thing. Right? There we go. Triceps, and then our biceps. The triceps tie in at the top of the shoulder to the backbone, almost exclusively. Like that. So, we're not going to see, when she's leaning back like this, that she's put her hand down. Most of the structure and power is on this tricep for that. It's just plunk, down she goes. Right? Now, when I look at the original, I have a lot more of the structure. She looks a lot more leaned forward in this picture than I'm getting down here. I'm not really looking to get much more than just inspiration off that pose, so I'm not that worried. I am going to fold down her hand a little bit more, right? And then we're going to go in with the face. Just like this. There. Alright. The microphone's way back there. Somebody should have told me my microphone was still back at the at the desk. You can't hear me at all. Okay. Let's give a little bit more now. You can hear me, I'm sure. My microphone was way back there, pointed at the main line. I keep forgetting to bring it back over. I've often said I think what I'm going to try to do here at some point is I've got a second input. I think I'm going to run an audio line over to the main line and just put another microphone on there. So, okay, now we're back here, and like I was saying, the deltoid comes across like this, and then folds down into a mixture of the bicep, which is in the front, and the tricep, which is in the back. And we want to talk a little bit more about the tricep in this instance, because the structure and weight of this body is moving. We're going ahead and add some red to show this. The structure and the weight is going like this, right? So this is where the weight line's going. And it's coming across like this from across her body. So she's leaning over this way on this. Obviously, the main weight of her body lies right here, right? And possibly just slightly right up here with her foot. But the majority of the weight is coming through here, but then she's tilted over, and that's moved her weight this way, which now puts the weight here. All this structure is right here on the tricep. So we really want... Oh, thanks, Michael. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. You're so friendly. So we want to make sure we've got the tricep in here really good. There we go. We'll do that. So, okay. There we go. We'll give just some indications of fingers here. And a thumb. And we'll come back to this guy in a minute. Right? Where this hand is much closer to us. And the elbow is going to probably be really right about there. So let's go on ahead and start talking about the structure of this that way. Okay, now let's go on ahead and refine the drawing. Alright. this guy and go like that. Alright, back up to light blue. At this point, I can get in here much closer. And let's talk a little bit more about the structure of this. Right? We're looking at the structure of her body here. We've got one eye that's going to be heading this way, and the other eye coming into the pinch point on this. Right? Everything's sort of heading down into one zone, because this point right here on our forehead is always going to be sticking out a little bit further than the rest of our face. So even though she may have her eyebrows up, they're still pointed down because of just the eye ridge that's going across where the eyebrows are right up here. So even no matter what her eyebrows are doing, even if her eyebrows are up and a surprised look like that, they're still going to point down into that center ridge. So that's a key important point. Everything's kind of going into this center piece right here. And it looks like she's angry, but it's why we all look like we're angry when we do this, right? I mean, it doesn't matter whether our eyebrows are up or our eyebrows are down. We all look angry with our head pointed down. Right? We're going to go ahead and go to the back of her head here. Put in that muscle group right there. And now she has an alien head, and that's important. Ears always start at the same line as your eyebrows, and they go down to about the midpoint of your face. Okay, so we'll come across here, just define in this part of her arm. There's her hand. There's her knee. Right? Moving across here. All this mess right here. So we're going to just clean this up. Right? There you go. We're just going to come around her palm here. We're going to have 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4. Right? We're going to have a thumb. This goes out here. Then we're going to come around here. And we're going to flatten her butt because it's actually sitting on something. We'll go up and across. Make sure her shoulder looks logical here. Bring it around. And I'm actually going to bring this out more like that. And we'll double check this once we get all of the primary artwork in. We're going to come around here, up, across, and there. We got this and that. And there, and there, right? There we go. More like this. And this is how we're going to kind of get in here. Now, there's going to be a couple of structural pieces through here. And let's talk about those a little. The foot has this large ball, which we call the heel, right? But it's also got muscle groups on the top up here, which round out the foot, which means that we're going to come out like this on the foot, and no matter what happens, all the little toes come down like this, and the big toe tends to point up, and we get this undercarriage sort of thing, and this puts the heel further out like this. And so we'll come back and fix this in a minute too. But we'll double check to make sure we've got all the main line work, and can we remove that and do we get a much better line? We do. Okay, so we have a much better line for our secondary line here. Now we go through and check our proportions. I mean, I'm already kind of feeling like, as wonderful as this hand is, it is huge and shouldn't be this big. So we'll do this, right? That's one of the things I can see. The foot is also huge. Huge. Right? So now that we've done that, we've got some broken lines. So we'll go back in and just touch those up. Right? You can listen now, which is good because apparently I had the microphone back there at the May line, so there's that. So you didn't miss much apparently. So, okay. Now we've got a second generation blue line in, right? And this works really well. I can now really strongly check my anatomy, right? I can check to make sure that I have all the pieces parts in here that I need, right? So here's where we're going to check in on this. So we've got kind of this, we're going to check all of our structure and our anatomy through this part right here, and make sure we go through there like that. There we go. Just putting in pieces, right? That's all I'm doing here. It's just putting in the pieces. Okay. Big feet, big shoes. Yep, that's exactly what they say, Brent. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the face, because I feel like the face has kind of gotten a little wonked. So let's fix that and that and that. There we go. More like that. Alright. Now, when you do eyes, we've got eyes that come, we've got this line through here that comes around, kind of like this. Right? The eyes are going to be placed in a sort of box that looks kind of like this. And if the boxes look weird right off the bat, we know we've got a problem with our spacing. So it makes it easy for us to kind of go back through. Let's get rid of the eyebrows, because that's just going to confuse us at this point. We're going to come back through. Right, here's where that is. We're going to go around like that. There we go. And we can look at it and say, oh, okay, we're getting there, right? Now it looks kind of like she's wearing sunglasses like it's supposed to be. And we'll come around like this. And we're just placing in this. There we go. Now we can place in the eye like this, right? Now, remember that we need to bring this eye back as far as possible, because she's going to be looking back at us, and that's going to leave very little eye on this front piece. When you're looking from the side and looking up, there's not a lot that this eye can see. This eye might be able to get kind of in line with the viewer, but this eye is already turned quite a bit over. And of course we're manga style, so the eyes are huge. As you might imagine. Right, coming through here. And there we go. And now the eyes are actually aligned correctly. And that's how we get good alignment on the eyes. If you're ever having problems with eyes, always good to put the sunglasses on and see what's happening there, you know. So, we'll go back into the pencil. Right? Here we go. And now let's talk about hair. Where would we like to put the hair, right? Right? We're just going to run it down like this. And then we'll come along the back like this. And this is important because the hair is going to block a lot of our anatomy. So we want to make sure that's visible. Right? And there we go. Now we're working on this. Now I want to look at this as a larger picture. And what I'm noticing now is I feel like the upper legs are not long enough. So we're going to take the Shift key, and we're not going to do that because that's not what we want. We want Control. It is a different command on every system. Right? There we go. And all I've done here is just extend out where everything is going, right? I just extended this part out. When I was eyeballing that, I'm like looking at it going, yeah, I don't know, man, that doesn't look right. And so I was kind of sitting there thinking, she needs a longer leg going that way. This leg is fine, but the arm, of course, has gotten kind of damaged in the process. Doesn't surprise me. So let's go backwards here on this leg. And we're going to bring this knee in. So it's like that. There we go. And there we go. Like that. And now we've corrected all of that. The other thing I'm noticing though is my hand here. I want this hand to be down and turned towards us, right? So when she's leaning back, she's put her hand pretty much in line with the camera. By leaning back and putting her hand down like that, it's pretty much in line with the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and draw the box of her hand as if it's in line with the camera. Right? We're just going to put one finger here, one finger there, one finger here, and one finger here, right? That should make this a little bit more dramatic, like that. So that's where we should be with this, hoping. That'll look a little bit better. I'm still kind of feeling like it might be a little big for her hand here, so we're going to shrink it down. Shrink-a-dink, right? Bring it in. Bring it in, man. Bring it in. There we go. We'll go ahead and do that. There we go. I keep wanting to make it bigger. I don't know what my problem is. There we go. Bring that around. There. Now that hand we can come in with that hand a little later and work on it. Okay, I have no earthly idea what kind of clothing we're going for here. Haven't figured that out. I'm not even really sure what we're after. But at this point in time, I'm feeling like we're pretty close to what we're after on the pose, right? There we go. We're pretty close to what we're looking for in the pose, I feel like here. So this hair should be like straight down because it's going to go with gravity here. So there we go. I'm going to bring this in like this, and I'm feeling pretty solid about this particular pose at this point. We've made the final corrections like we needed to. I feel like her hair is probably going to go straighter than it looks. We're going to come along like this, more out like that, and then inside will be more like this, and then it's going to deflect off of her arm right here. So let's bring that around. Her arm is going to dictate where that goes as part of the structure of this arm here. We're going to do that. Right, like that. There. So that's where we are at this point. I'm feeling like we're pretty good at the start of this particular piece. We have the anatomy straightened out, right? And that's the important part. It takes a while to get this anatomy squared away. So, now, what is this individual doing? In the original picture that we've got going on here, we have sort of a situation where the Miku is riding a planet or sitting on a ball. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. Probably sitting on like a Christmas ornament or something. So that's not really where we want to be. But we could have her on like some kind of motorcycle. That'd be kind of cool, right? Since it's me, it's going to be a space age motorcycle. That's important. Right? And then she's just putting her foot up on one of the posts here. Maybe it's got a sidecar, and that's what she's putting her hand on over here is a sidecar, right? Then we got kind of some kind of rocket tank there, right? Then we got a seat of some sort up here. Right. We'll just clear out some of this junk because it's not helping us any. Alright. And we will then kind of roll this around. Love weird little analgrams of our life. Like some kind of mirror there. Right? And this means that she can be in some kind of weird little leathers of some sort. adding in pieces to this. I'm not going to worry too much about the structure or anything like that, because I'm not trying to actually design a rocket ship of some sort. So there we go. We got kind of this structure-y, rockety motorcycle. I'm sure it's a hovercraft. All of my spaceships should be hovercraft. All vehicles should be hovercraft. It's the future. We know that there's always hovercraft in the future. Everybody's driving or flying cars. So she has a flying motorcycle. There we go. She can turn that all she wants there. And we'll put the brake out here too. Because of course there's a brake. How would you stop it otherwise? You're a flying hovercraftian thing. Alright? Alright. We spent an hour getting to this hovercraft piece. It's kind of cool. I'm liking it. It's looking good. So let's talk a little bit about this. What do we got going on here? So I'm going to go ahead and add my vector layer, right? And we'll call this ink. Right? The ink layer, we're just going to go on ahead and do this. But I'm actually going to do a little trick here. Okay, so watch out, trick ahead. I'm going to go to a lighter brown and take my G pen. Right, we're going to come in here. And then we're going to ink in her face. Her mom's face. Okay? Okay, and that's all we're doing here is we're using a brown pen, a dark brown color, to ink in on the skin. Right? And there's a reason for this. This is an old trick that I learned from Studio Ghibli. And not because I worked at Studio Ghibli. Even though that would have been the awesomest job ever. I'm just saying. You use brown, and it gives it a little bit more of a friendly feel. Right? It's a much more friendly sort of thing. And we'll straighten out all of this here in a second. But it's warmer. Here's like a chocolate brown. We're going to have to straighten out a lot of these lines. They've gotten thick and thin, and through thick and thin, and all kinds of stuff. Right? With that little trick about inking in brown, that gives a little bit more like friendliness to the ink lines. Right, so we're going to come along her neck here and into this shoulder. This shoulder right here lives on, I guess whatever she's wearing here, it's shoulder bearing. So, accident's bad in this case. If she has a wreck, she's really not wearing a lot in the way of protection, and we should have a long talk with her, because that's not cool, man. I mean, really? She's clearly riding without a helmet. She's clearly riding without, protection on her arms. Seriously, dude, you need to do better. I'm just saying. Okay, so we're going to bring this back around like this. There we go. There we go. So, I feel like, oh, maybe she's also not writing with shoes. Right? Crazy. I don't know. But I like the feet. And so, impractical we are. And here we are being impractical. So let's be impractical. There we go. Okay. So what we've done now is we've done all the pieces that are skin. And now I'm going to go back in with the pieces that are not skin. And that's okay. So, first things first, let's go in with her eyes. I should have gotten her eyes while they were brown with the brown pen. So let's grab that real quick. Because we're going to do this. Just her eyes. Right? Now we'll go to black. Because she needs to have black eyelashes. Eyebrows are whatever color her hair is, which in this case is black. Okay, make sure that that's sealed up so that whenever we switch to raster, it will be fine. There we go. Same thing here, make sure that those are sealed up. We'll come down like that. There we go. Now her hair is cascading across like this. So there's that. And we're going to have it come across like this. And again, I'm going to use the ability of the vector eraser to do this. Whoa, that's too much. And trim off this edge. Still too much. Right? I'm going ahead and let that vector eraser do its job. Okay. I'm seeing gaps and holes back here. Right, and then we're going to put that vest down. We know it's probably not doing a whole lot to protect her. But, she's young, she's a teenager, and it's always fashion before practicality or safety, because she's probably like in her 20s and doing the, well, what could possibly go wrong? I am invincible, which of course is kind of rough on parents. I'm just saying. In this case, I run her pants this way. I really think they should run this way and then run back like that and then have her back go through it like this. Alright, we're doing this. this, we're just kind of catching all of the pieces here. Now, jeans will fold, so we're going to get like that, those kind of little folds right there. I'm going to come around. Maybe she thinks she's cool by not wearing shoes. I don't know. I'm going to be totally on her this entire time about not wearing shoes or protective equipment of any sort, because really, come on. Right? So there we go. Now we've inked her in, which, yeah, that's kind of cool looking. I'm okay with that. Let's get the motorbike in. This kind of weird little motorbike. Now, the motorbike's also going to be not, it's not biological, so we're going to use black for it. There we go, just like this. And we're going to give a little... It's really not like that powerful of a motorbike. And who knows, maybe she's just posing for a selfie. Then she puts her boots on, and her helmet, and her leathers, and her parachute. It's a hover bike, right? And then, you know, that's the story. That's the story. She's just posing for a selfie here, okay? I mean, what kid doesn't, right? When she goes home, her mom yells at her because, like, totally, you know, you should have been not posing for selfies while flying. She's like, it's okay, Mom. I totally wasn't flying. I was just sitting on the bike. You can see, because I got my friend's car right there, right? You know, because the friend's car is right there. She's like, it's all right, dude. Calm down. No need to spaz out and stuff. Which time her mom grounds her for being a smartass. And I'm just saying, you know, this is what happens. I'm not, you know, not saying that I've thought that or anything. There we go. We'll put this right here. There we go. And we'll put this up and over. There we go. And we don't want these to be what we call converging tangents here. I want this to show that the pedal sticks out like this. And then goes under whatever this is. If this is a sidecar, if this is a, you know, we want to make sure that, there we go. Alright. Putting in some just widgets or whatever. I feel like this is a widgety thing. Okay, so there we go. here. I don't know, this is some kind of engine cowling of some sort. This is the selfie that got her in trouble with her mom. I mean, I'm just saying, her mom sees this and says, hey, I don't have any proof that you weren't riding without a helmet, without leathers, and stuff like that, and without a parachute. And so you're grounded and totally not allowed to fly for at least a week. Oh, Mom, you're so mean. You get the idea, right? So we're up now one level on this here. Now we've got just the ink in. Now's the time where I go through and correct all of my ink if I really wanted to, and I'm not really seeing anything specific that I want to correct, so I'm kind of thinking, well, okay, so we're looking pretty solid here. Maybe just kind of go in and put a few more widgets or whatever into this motorcycle thing, motor widget, hover cycle, whatever we want to call it, because it's always a hover cycle in the future. That didn't work. The difference of one line. Okay, so now we've kind of gone through here. I don't know, I'm not seeing that this is too terrible bad, right? So now it's kind of a time where we start looking at this and go, maybe we just want to go ahead and flatten it out and put colors in, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to duplicate the layer, right? And this layer, I'm going to go on ahead and right mouse click on, and let's go on ahead and rasterize it. If we really have to fix it later, we will. Okay, and we'll take this line, the ink line, off for right now. And let's go talk about some colors that are going to go in here. I like the idea that she's got screens and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. I feel like the bike itself is going to have some silver parts. Maybe this part down here is silver. You know what I mean? It's like all of this down here is one big whatever. I don't know. Silver thing. It's not like it's going to get a lot of road grime. So then, should it be red? It should be. I mean, it's a kid's bike, right? So it's going to be like cherry apple red. Alright? I've got a leak somewhere up there, so we'll have to go fix that, right? So the front cowling, the back part here will be red, this part will be red. It's a cherry red bike. Maybe that's a bumper thing, I don't know. Okay, let's fix our leak here. There, make sure that that's a complete connection. And let's also fix this leak, which is clearly causing an issue as well. Alright, now we'll go through, select that, that's red. Alright, come back around to the back here. So it is a sidecar, right? It's a sidecar, it's part of the bike. Maybe it's an engine cowling, I don't know. We'll get there. Okay, seat, and this pedal are going to be kind of a darker color. And then we're going to come back up for a much lighter color right through here for these guys. Just some engine pieces of some sort. Ooh, what else is also this color is, of course, the handles. I'm going to take this and go in there because we're going to color the inside of the cowling correctly. Now, I like the idea that she maybe is color coordinated with her bike, so her little vest is probably of the same color. That sounds kind of cool to me. Then she's going to have, some kind of blue jeans going for her here, right? And then, we're just going to kind of look around here and give her, really, I come from the anime world. Let's be realistic here, right? So we'll give her some purple hair. That looks cool right there, right? We're going to go ahead and just flip over for the skin tones here. Let's go towards red, and that gives us a cream colored tone like this. right? Yep, she's not wearing shoes. Her mom's going to kill her, right? And there we go. We've gotten the flats in pretty quickly. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on here. Personally, I think we're going to also give her really dark brown eyes. Right here, right there, right? She's got dark brown eyes. So, all right. Basic flats are in. And so now we've got good color. We also have the ability to bring on another line if we need to, another layer of line, but we're not going to really, I don't think. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take and go to another layer, new raster layer, and this is our dark color layer, right? We're just going to go on ahead and do some dark color here. So we're going to take this, and you always want to go crisscross in an angle. So we're going to go down about halfway here. I'm going to zoom in and let's start doing shadow, right? I'm not worried at this point in time about crossing over the lines because I've always got the other ink line on top to go on top of this no matter what happens. So all I'm really worried about is crossing into here like that. That would be bad, right? So instead, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to come along here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm just going to define the deltoid, which goes through here, the tricep, which goes through there, and then through the forearm, like that. Right? We're going to also add back here, and this is all in the dark area. And then maybe a small amount of her tummy is going to be darkened, but not a lot, right? So we're able to be very sloppy with this, so we're just going to go on ahead and do that. Give some definition to our fingers. I want to do this in 2 hours, so I'm going to kind of put a little bit of a rush on her, right? Define along here. Now remember that her foot is on the pedal. So we're going to come around like this. This whole area is going to be like this. There we go. Just like that. And then whatever happens, her trousers are going to be, they're going to cast a shadow like this. Okay, so going up here, all of this area is in shadow, right? This whole area right here is going to be in shadow. So let's go ahead and just define that area. I'm going to give just a little bit off the bottom there, but that's it, right? Not a lot. This whole area is shadowed by her hair. We're going to come through here and just do this, right? We're just defining right through here. There we go. Now as far as her face goes, same thing's happening here. Her hair departs from her head, right up here, and then comes down through here like this. And it's going to cast a shadow across her entire face right along here. And we're just going to bring her face back out of this shadow, right? So it's going to come around here and then come around like that, right? And then we're going to end up with a shadow on the other side of her face from the light shadow that's coming out on this side, right? And again, I'm not worried about crossing over the lines as long as I don't cross into another color zone, because this ink area covers this. That's why I duplicate the layer, because I can now go back in with the ink and fix it if I need to. Which I might, because one of the things I'm noticing here is I don't actually have her eyes in correctly, right? So we're going to go back through here. We're just going to do this, because we need to put in the scalia, which is the white of the eye, right? I'm not going to be that careful. Why aren't you careful, guy? Well, because the truth of the matter is, the only thing I need to worry about is crossing into this flesh area down here, the fleshy part of her face. Because this ink is always going to cover everything else. So I'll turn the ink on just to make sure I'm not over the eyelash itself. And remember that we're going to be working, mostly in that area. It's not a real big deal. But I can now see with this line on that I really want to do things like this. Just clean that up, right? And then go through here and do this and do that, right? And just trim it out. Make sure all the dots are covered. There. We'll come back and fix this in a minute. Okay, we're going to come inside the ear here and just right around that side there and clean that up. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, when we look at like her jeans, it's again, we're going to go on a diagonal line, half the distance to the goal line. Right? And do this. We're going to come back in a minute and do some other work with it. But for right now, this is what we're doing. We're going to follow this line that I've already established in here. I know I went into the red. That's all right. We'll get back there. And all we're doing is we're thinking about our light source. The light source is coming from up here. We're going to be thinking about that. Now we've got two different reds here. We've got the red that's going to be the shiny red that's coming off of the bike, and we've got the red of her jacket or her whatever we want to call this. So this red can't go half the distance, so we're only going to go half the distance down. We have to go straight down. There's nothing we can do. I'm just going to do this, right? Because it's going to go all the way up here, but we're going to have a small amount on that side. Actually, we won't, because that side's not open to the outside world. It's closed off by her hair. But we can have a small amount around the edge there. It just indicates light on the edge of this whatever we want to call it, this vest. Right? And there will be what we call a rim light, which is when you have a light that's very strong on this side that lights up one edge of us. It's called a rim light. And we're going to have something like that, but we haven't put it in yet, so it's going to be on top of all of this. Right? So let's go ahead and we're just tapping in on this stuff here, cleaning up some of this, making sure we've got it all under control. There we go. All right. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do this here. Half the distance is about there. I'm going to come in here and do this. We're doing first all of the, I don't know if you want to call it biological, but things that are squishy and organic. We do those first. They help define what's going on, but it also gives us a little bit more of a feel. They're rounder, they're squishier. It's a lot easier to deal with organics. So, you do the organics first because the metals have a different set of rules. Now her leg comes out. So here's the seat. She's got a leg coming out like this. If you're to look at the shadow that's being formed there is going to get deeper. So we're going to end up with a shadow that looks like this to indicate where her leg's going, right? Because her leg's coming out. So there's that. We, of course, decided this was a thing. There we go. And that's the way that works. Okay. Now we've got everything pretty much in, I think, for all of our organics. So the organics are in. Let's start talking about our metals. The first things first that we want to do with metals is we set up a midtone on it. Right. This midtone is like that. We've already got the midtone for this guy. Let's talk a little bit about midtone because this guy should be midtone too. Why did you do that? Undo on your base copy. That should be a midtone as well. The thing about metals is they always reflect the world around you in a very linear way. So we're going to look at where these pieces of metal are reflecting, right? Go back up here, and we're going to be very harsh about this. So almost black, right? And we're going to come along here and we're just going to do this. All right, this is the ground right here. And it's coming around the edge of this. I'm going to have this do this. And the ground comes through the middle like this. Same thing, but we want to be a little lower down here. Then we're reflecting something off the side over here. Right? It's probably the ground through here with some trees or something. But metal is very dramatic. Right? When you go around circles, you're reflecting something going on over here, something happening. Here's a little bit of this, and it goes like this to indicate the bumper here. We'll go back in with red and fix that in a second. But you've got sort of this kind of thing going for it in here. And what you're doing is you're just indicating things that are in the environment around the metal. Since metal is sometimes stamped, it's going to have a lip often around it. Kind of helps define it as a piece of metal, right? You don't have to reflect exactly what's going on. You just have to give the feeling that you're reflecting what's going on, right? So we'll do this. And all we're doing here is just kind of pulling the reflection around. Sometimes I like to bring the reflection up the top here. And that just indicates that there's a roundness to the metal. And it's just making it, there we go, like that. Right? That gives us this roundness. Now we're going to do the other thing totally. We're going to go through here. We're going to put in this. Right, whatever's shining in through here is shiny. So you're going to see a shine off of it, right? Just a little bit of light through here, and we're just defining some lights. It's metal, right? So that gives it the effect that it's all shiny there, right? That's off into the distance. What we usually see is it fades off into nothingness out there. So we're going to have a lot of like this shine like this. We're going to get the same thing up here on the metal of the bike, but we're going to But for right now, we're just going to do this. So we're going to just do almost black. Same thing up here, right? Her bike is close, so we're going to see it here in a minute. But nothing else is. Right, I'm going to come along here and just do that. Right? Same thing over here. We've got super dark right through here. And then we're going to come up here and we're going to do some light work right there. Okay? So that's how you kind of get a good shiny effect. Right? You're going to do that. We're going to do this. This guy's all like on the top. So he doesn't get a lot of the ground effect up here because he's pretty much all up at the top. Okay, let's talk a little bit about first of all, we're going to do some of the red influence here, because we're going to have just a small amount of red right there, right, and right through here. And the red's going to be slightly darker, but like right through here, we want the reflection to look red, and right through here, it's going to look a little red. And all we're doing is just reflecting off of the bike. We've got some kind of red thing right here, and we're just reflecting off of the bike. This guy should be darker. He should get his half the distance of the goal line thing, right? He should be darker, especially where our foot is, right? We're getting there, right? Okay, I'm going to take this red all the way down to here, and I want it to be just a little bit red, because even if it's metallic, it's still not going to be fully dark, not like this. So we're going to do the same thing, right? Coming along here and then up. I'm going to follow the shape of this. I guess this is a fuel tank. Follow the shape of that fuel tank, right? And then we'll do the same thing back here. Follow the rules we have here. This whole area is going to be dark. So it'll be this part right here. Just like that. We're going to do the same thing up here. There we go. Right? We'll go through here and use this. And come around like that, right here. Still think this poor girl's going to get busted by her mom. I was just posing, Mom. That's all. Promise, I put on my safety gear. She's going to get so busted, right? Okay. Okay, so now we're putting in a lot of all we're doing here is just priming in on the metal here, right? This guy's going to be underneath, so he's going to be shaded like that. And we're going to have an interesting effect right here. This part, you're going to be able to see her hand coming around. So we're going to be able to come up like this to her hand. We're going to want to see that. There we go, just like that. All right, same thing through here. This is some kind of like rear compartment, maybe actually has her helmet in it. Who knows? I'm going to put that on there. Okay. Now, down here, we're just going to put a little bit of shade like that. We're not close enough down here to get a good idea of what is and what isn't shaded in this section down here. So, now that we've done that, now we're going to put in the white. Now, unlike the other side, we didn't put a lot of white in, but we can see the reflection of white through here. There's going to be bright white. So, but it's not going to be a lot, so we want to make sure we just got like through here. This just indicates a lot of the lights or something like that. That's what's going on over here. It's just lights, right? It's something is going on this side that's just lit up, right, through there. So we're just getting kind of a light effect through here. That's all we're getting. This is all shadow, so it doesn't matter. We'll see a small amount right there. Definitely through here. And what I'm doing is I'm dotting my pressure on the pin when I lay the pin down as I come through there, and that gives a wide, small effect kind of going on here. There we go. And you can see now that gives a much shinier effect to the bike itself. Makes it look like it's some kind of shiny bike, and that works. Now, the shiny on this is great, but we don't have any highlights on her yet. And I was saying that we were going to have a kick light, and we are. So we're going to put in a kick light on this other side. And with that, I'm actually going to try to find something. You look at over here at the wheel. We want to find a light that complements where this red is, right? Or even her flesh tone, right? So either way, it's going to be somewhere between here and here on this, right? And that's going to be the kick light. So we'll give a new layer. And this is going to be a light that just along the outside edge, right along here, right along here. That's all we're doing here, right along there. Complementary colors are important. They are your friend, right? All we're doing here is this. And don't worry about the fact that you're already like, I don't know about this guy. It's okay. We got this. We got this, fam. Okay, so we're going to come around here. We're just going to highlight her chin there. We're going to highlight right there. We got the tail of the seat. And we're going to just hit right here. Okay, and we're going to do this part right here. We're going to do something like this. Do something like that. And a small amount like this. Maybe this actually will be all in the kick. Okay, now you're like, wow, that's really rough. I actually bring it down 50%. And 75. Right. And we gotta come down through here. Now, the great thing about this is that I can actually take a look at this and go, I don't know, maybe I don't like this color. That's okay. If we don't like the color, we can actually do a lot of things to it. Right? Once we're in here, we can go Edit, Tonal Correction, and let's, I don't know, do a tone curve. Right? If we do the tone curve, it's really sitting over here with quite a bit of this. So if we were to cut the curve back like that, See, now it's looking a lot better. It's very blue. I know you're shocked. There. And that fits a whole lot better, right? Now that I've done some tonal curve to it, it actually accentuates. The blue is going a little bit more away, and you can actually see what's going on over here. If I were to bring it back up to 100%, it'd be pretty close to white, right? And it's very, very close to white, and actually looks kind of cool. Like that. Right? So the kick light is highlighting all of her right through here. That works. We'll go up here and mess with her hair a little bit, because her hair actually didn't get hit by the kick light at all. Right, and we go put the kick light there. We'll put the kick light just at the very edge there. And through here, because there's some light that would be bleeding over from this side. We'll put the kick light right there on that. And right through here. Okay, the one thing we don't have yet is her hair. Half the distance to the goal line. I'm easily entertained. There we go. Now we're going to come through here and do this. Right? We're just giving an edge to this, which we'll hit with a kick light, and then just like that. Okay? We'll come around here like this. There we go. Hit the kick and come along here like that. Okay, the other thing we're going to do now that we're here, is work in her eye to get that undo, because we need this to be on top of all layers. So we'll add this on top here. Yeah. Here we go. Right. Now, I want to kind of make a quick correction to this. So we're going to kind of come through here like this. There we go, more like that. There. Now let's give us a good background for this, right? Because we want some kind of background to just make this work. So we're going to go in here with a paintbrush, because I got some of these great paintbrushes now, and I think everything should be green in the background of some sort, right? So we're going to up the size of this brush. Right, just kind of go in here and be wild. It's a brush after all. Alright, we're just going to... I mean, there's no need to be serious about your background. It's going to be whatever it's going to be. You know? So we'll just kind of rough it up a little. There we go. And actually, kind of looking at this, you know what would be really cool is if this wasn't really green. Since we've got some kind of weird thing going here, I'm going to go in and say Edit, Tonal Correction. Is hue and sat. Okay, so the hue and sat end up on the other screen. If I were to take the hue and move it over to blue, like this, blue hue, it would not only would it rhyme, but it gives this a very cyberpunkian feel, right? So we take this guy here, just kind of dot around so that he's kind of dotty, right? We're just hitting some dots here. Just kind of. We're just making some mess here. This is a dry brush here. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. You know, we're just roughing up the background a little. And that's all we're doing here. We're just adding some rough up to the background. And take some white. And some either buildings or vehicles in the background, or that's something going on back here. We don't know. We have no idea what the hell is going on, but it's, you know, cyberpunk. I mean, what do we know about cyberpunk, right, guys? I mean, what do we know? We don't know anything. So we're just going to kind of do this and just give it some nice darkness back here. Nothing, you don't want to do anything that's going to detract from the painting, the foreground. So we want to be very careful not to mess up what's going on in the foreground. So we're about to do something to fix that. I'll actually add a few important, like little red dots to kind of indicate things going on. But then we're going to add a new raster layer, and with this layer, we're going to do this. What did you do, guy? There. That's what we did. Although I feel like it should be a different shade. Like here. Right? There. See how that fits a little bit better? And again, all of our colors are right here. Like her skin tone is right here. Her bike is right here. So this orange is the midpoint on the wheel. So you want it to be as close to the opposite side to complement. And that pushes that out. Everything stands out more. It looks a little bit better. Things like that. So if I wanted to add another raster layer, I could add another raster layer in here and just put in dots. Right? And this just indicates cars or buildings or whatever. Right? But since I don't want this to take away from her, I'm going to bring it down to about 45%, like that. And now we've got something. I don't know what the heck this is. This is a something. We have made a thing. We based pretty much the entire pose off of this, and we've moved to this cyberpunk girl on motorcycle. I just work here. I don't know. I came up with it. A couple of things I did want to do real quick. We've got a few minutes more, so let's go on ahead and do a couple of things that'll be fun, like, I mean, if we're going to do this, let's do this, right? So we're going to have, we're going to be way up here on the top. Go through like this, undo. It shouldn't look as bright. Adding in some HUD here. This is just indicating that she's got some kind of, I don't know, fuel thing or whatever. The other thing that would be kind of fun though is this is looking like a mirror, but I've decided maybe it isn't. What if it's a little data thing too? Right? There we go. That's a much cooler picture. I have no earthly idea what it is, but, it's a thing. Let's go on ahead and open up my signature file. Open recent. Do I have my signature file? I don't think so. Well, I need to make a stamp of that so that I can use it as a stamp. We'll have to figure that out, because now I'm going to have to go find it, and that's not worth wasting time for you guys. Once again, though, I noticed that I have not left any space in the bottom right corner of my picture. I don't know what my problem is. Anyway, turned out to be an interesting picture. This little warm-up and practice here. We've got an interesting piece, and I'll find it offline. But it did turn out to be a fascinating piece based off of this pose, which is from an artist who was doing a Miku drawing. And I wish I knew. I find these things on the web and I try to capture them with a name, but this one came off of Reddit, so there's nothing I can do about that one per se. But we got an interesting picture out of it. I think it's great. I think we did a good job. So there we go. We've got some little teenage girl that's about to get yelled at by her mom a lot, because she totally is not wearing shoes or a helmet or even a jacket. And so, what happens if you crash, man? What happens if you crash? Do you even understand what you're doing, young lady? Anyway. Okay. So there you go, guys. That's our show for today. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. And do what you need to do out there and keep your eyes on the stars. And I will see you on Monday. Have a happy weekend.